Alright folks, it is Matthew. We are back. And I am finishing up the last case in Grimsboro in Elite Mode, but there's one more thing I'm going to wait for and I'll let it run its course. For now, I'm going to start this next one. In the World Edition, Case 23. Peace and Dead Quiet. Ranger Matthew, according to our information, Guru Om Padmasana is hiding out in the Tiger's Nest Monastery in Bhutan. This guru is bad news. We know that he's an American by the name of Ezra Hope, and he's studying how to make his followers psychologically dependent on him. And his tricks obviously work because he gets heaps of donations from his followers. These generous donations are why I've told Elliot to keep an eye on his finances. He may not be as dangerous as Sombra, but if he thinks the Bureau will not track him down wherever he might be, he's got another thing coming, right, Matthew? Quite. Ranger Matthew, you must get up to the monastery. I warn you, it won't be easy. It's over 10,000 feet above sea level on the edge of a cliff. No worries, Chief. Nothing will keep Matthew from getting to that guru. Off to the monastery with you then, and watch your step. Cliff path. New case is open. Let's kick some butt, baby. Torn cloth. Victim's body. Oh, that's definitely not the guru. Photograph. I'm close. I should have known this would happen. Before we can even climb out to the monastery, you find a dead body. Well, at least that's not the guru. This poor guy's way too old, and his arm's been hacked off. Well, he's definitely dressed to be fitted around here, so he's probably a monk. Did you find any clues that could help with an identification? Not sure how that will help, but sure, if you want to piece together that torn cloth, go for it. And you found a photo of the victim. Looks like some kind of inspirational card. This could help us identify the victim. Maybe you can find his identity in the database. We need to get going on solving this case before that Om Padmasana gets wind of us. Who knows where he'd slither off to next. "18 hours. I'll get some stars, so sit tight." Okay, folks. I got up to 6 stars. I'll examine the photograph first. Oh no. Lam Ugyen. So our victim is a monk named Lam Ugyen? It seems he had a rather important position at the monastery. Important enough to have next of kin. According to his record, he was allowed to adopt a young girl named Deki, no last name. Isn't that a little unorthodox? A monk adopting a little girl? I guess we'd better climb back up there and tell this Deki that her adoptive father was killed. about the death of Lam Ugyen. Hello, you're Deki, correct? I'm afraid that we have some bad news for you. I can give you a few moments, but then I must go prepare a bath for Lam Ugyen. I'm afraid that Lam Ugyen won't be needing a bath, Deki. He was murdered. Lam Ugyen? Murdered? Well, I am sure that he was ready. Ready? What on earth do you mean by that? Lam Ugyen adopted me when I was a little girl, after my parents died. He taught me to think of death, even my own, at least 5 times a day. It is a way to live life more fully, and Lam Ugyen was a master in living life fully. He was a little wild. He always said that when he died he would have no regrets. Well, Deki, his killer will have some regrets, believe me. If looking around the temple will help you find who killed Lam Ugyen, Ranger Matthew, please feel free to do so. Well, first of all, I gotta do the torn cloth. I was contemplating on which to do first. Okay. You managed to piece that torn cloth and the crime scene back together again. You're right, it looks like an old flag. And there's a partial bloody shoe print on it. Maybe Lars will be able to give us more information. Let's rush it over to him. Okay, that's 3 hours. Okay. Oh, cloth sack. Watermelon ladder. Guru's book. Wind chimes. Horn. This temple is where the victim lived, right, Matthew? So that cloth sack could be hiding a clue. You're right. Dig in. And we've definitely seen this book before. Every time I open it, it seems to be even more full of horse pucky. Hey, you're right. Looks like something was written on the title page. I can't quite make it out. We're just a quick dusting away from an answer, though. I'll get some stars first, so sit tight. Okay, I think I got myself enough stars. Let's examine the Guru's book now. The flashing light is the way. So what was the message you uncovered in the Guru's book? To Ugyen, the flashing light is the way, and it's signed by Om Padmasana himself. What a shocker! That said, looks like our original mission and our murder investigation have finally dovetailed. Let's go find Mr. Padmasana and reconnect. He has to be around this temple somewhere. Om Padmasana, aka Ezra Hope. Pretty sure that's number 2. About his book, Dedication to the Victim. Ranger Matthew, namaste. Normally I wouldn't interrupt a retreat, but I sensed a disturbance. I just bet you did. The person to whom you dedicated this book was found murdered. Lam Ugyen is dead? Well, he did seem ready to continue his journey. He didn't have much of a choice in the matter. Someone chopped off his arm. Maybe you know why? Why would I know? I am a believer of non-violence, and I had major respect for him. I was studying with Ugyen as part of my retreat. The old always have so much to teach us, such wisdom. It was like studying with Buddha himself. But I wanted to share with Ugyen the new insights into the universe I've had since the flashing light awakened me. Ah yes, the flashing light. Listen up, Padmasana. We're on to you and your guru shtick. Lam Ugyen's death only makes you look more suspicious. We'll be back. Cloth sack. A hat. So what did you find in that cloth sack from the temple? A hat? You have a point, Matthew. That hat reminds me of the hat the victim was wearing in the photo you found. Hey you, put that down. That hat belongs to Lam Ugyen. You are not worthy of touching it. And who are you exactly? My name is Tashi, and I will not let you defile Lam Ugyen's belongings. Defile? No one's trying to defile anything here, Mr. Tashi. We're just trying to find the person who killed Lam Ugyen, and we need to speak with you. Well, let's see what Tashi has to say. I would feel much better if Ranger Matthew would just hand that hat over to me so I can put it in a safe place. I'm sure you would, Tashi, but that's not going to happen because it's evidence in a murder investigation. Murder? You mean someone killed Lam Ugyen? Geez, you never heard it before? Geez, you never heard it the first time? Unfortunately, yes. Seems you were very attached to this monk. He was more than a monk to me. He saved my life. I was lost on the mountain in a thunderstorm and Lam Ugyen gave me shelter and food. Normally I would have had to become a monk to be able to stay at the tiger's nest, but Lam Ugyen never followed the rules. He thought they got in the way. I prayed in the temple for his continued health and long life. I was completely devoted to him. Well, the evidence will show us how devoted you really were, Mr. Tashi. Stay close. We may need to question you again. Alright, I'll let these two run their courses, and for now, this is Matthew. See you then. Alright folks, we're back. Let's get the results of the yellow cloth. Namaste, Matthew. Such a shame to see a prayer flag in such karmically questionable condition. Oh, so that's what that cloth was? But what's a prayer flag? They are flags hung up throughout the Himalayas to bless the countryside as the wind blows over the teachings written on them. The blood on this flag belonged to the victim, but the boot print on it definitely didn't. It's likely that the killer stepped on it as they fled the scene. The print corresponds to a hiking boot, though I can't give you a particular brand. So the killer wears hiking boots. Well, there's no hiking in prison, so they better enjoy the fresh air while they can.
Yes. Are you lying now? No. I'm finished with this witness.
Okay, sit tight, folks.
We find the defendant guilty.
And now the autopsy. Hey, Matthew. Hey, Matthew. The man and the arm that you brought me from the Tiger's Nest Monastery match. The victim died from blood loss after someone chopped his arm off. By the cuts, I would say that it was an axe. We'll keep an eye out for an axe. So the killer just left him there, arm and all? They probably panicked. From what I can see, there were hesitation chops to either side of the final cut. This shows some doubt, or at least inexperience. Besides that, the killer also grabbed the victim's wrist to steady the arm. but in doing so, they'll have traces of Chang on the victim. Chang? I heard of that stuff. It's home to distilled liquor. It's like Bhutanese moonshine. Exactly. It's made from fermented millet grains and it's very strong. The killer probably drank some to work up the nerve to go through with the act. So we have a killer who drinks Chang? Well, they better party while they can now that Matthew's on their trail.
The building itself is it's totally concrete, cinder block and concrete, and therefore it pretty much kept the fire contained to...
So Matthew, let's take a closer look at this case. We have an old monk whose arm was chopped off. So far the suspects are taking the news well, given how attached they were to the victim. Om Padmasana kept his cool when we told him about the murder, even if his ego still goes to 11. Deki, the victim's adopted daughter, was also very calm. She seemed to think the victim was ready for death. Tashi is the only suspect so far who seems to be broken up about Lam Uyen's murder. But then again, the victim did save his life. Ranger Matthew, you must get to the Tsechu Festival site immediately. Ingrid, we don't have time for festivals. We're in the middle of a murder investigation. Exactly. And guess who was supposed to preside over the festival? The victim. The news of his death has spread. We're going to have a stampede on our hands. What? We'll get to Chapter 2 next time. Alright folks, we're back. Let's start Chapter 2 of Peace and Dead Quiet. Well, Matthew, I'm still puzzled as to who might have chopped off that old monk's arm and left him for dead. Ranger Matthew, you must get to the Tsechu Festival site immediately. Ingrid, we don't have time for festivals. We're in the middle of a murder investigation. Exactly. And guess who was about to preside over the festival? The victim. The news of his death has spread. We're going to have a stampede on our hands. Emergency workers are trying to clear everyone out, but vital evidence might be damaged, so I advise you both to hightail it to the festival site post-haste.
We have never in the past had to have the approval, and this is what this is about, the approval of the union.
Well, Matthew, emergency workers cleared out the crowd from the festival site, but they sure left one heck of a mess behind. You're right. There could be clues around here and... OMG! Ranger Matthew, thank goodness you're here. This place is a madhouse. Averly Worthington? It's Bangalore all over again. Are you still slumming around and bankrolling your guru Om Padmasana? Cynical much? It's not a crime to be wealthy, Ranger Matthew, but it's wrong not to share my money, and I want the guru to reach as many people as possible. You know I go wherever the guru goes, but I'm worried for his safety now, and mine. Who would murder a monk? I mean, maybe I can think of a few people, but... Maybe you wouldn't mind sharing a few of your ideas with Ranger Matthew, Miss Worthington? That'd be great. Or we could take a quick sweep for clues around the festival grounds first. Your call, Matthew.
Over windward areas, and along with the cloud cover, we have seen some light scattered showers. A little bit of that moisture could reach over into leeward areas in the evening and overnight hours, but we are expecting clear skies.
Who might have wanted to kill the victim?
Right now, a check of the weather over Honolulu.
Miss Worthington, what did you mean when you said you could think of a few people who might have wanted to kill Lam Uyen? Well, he wasn't exactly the most orthodox of monks. He liked to shake things up, you know, get people out of their comfort zone. Personally, I was a little afraid of him. I mean, he was crazy pants, but I overheard the guru saying that Lam Uyen had mega bad arthritis. And you know, like I've been studying Ayurvedic medicine, so I thought if I offer my holistic services to Lam Uyen, the guru would take notice of me. Holistic services? What exactly did those entail? Mostly turmeric paste, but I guess Lam Uyen's arthritis won't be an issue anymore. You guessed right, Miss Worthington, but if Ranger Matthew finds out you had anything to do with Lam Uyen's demise, you'll have some issues to deal with.
Police arrested Sardina, but did not charge him for assaulting a 49-year-old male officer in Waipio. The Kamehameha graduate was was also wanted on a contempt warrant at the time of his arrest. On Tuesday, Sardina pleaded no contest to the harassment charge and was granted a deferral of his plea. The paper adds he could face up to 5 years in prison, but if he stays out of trouble for 6 months, the charge will be dismissed. He must also perform 20 hours of community service. The judge set his bail at $11,000.
Putting a binder on just in case.
Dengue fever on the Big Island. This comes after 2 weeks of no reported cases.
Torn paper. Turtle.
Has not traveled recently.
Chicken.
Infected locally on the
Elephant.
Despite the slow
Target.
the health department has not let up its effort to fight the virus.
Aha, woven basket.
8 additional vector control positions on the Big Island.
The owner of Hawaiian Accessories has pleaded guilty in a case involving smuggled ivory and black coral. Curtis Wilmington says he purchased raw walrus tusks and whale teeth from Alaska, smuggled them to the Philippines to be carved into fish hooks, then smuggled the pieces to Hawaii. Authorities say he then sold the fish hook pendants at hotel boutiques, passing them off as made in Hawaii by local artisans. Wilmington also admitted to smuggling black coral from Mexico to Hawaii.
Hey, that woven basket looks familiar, Matthew. DuPont was yammering at me and said that these are particular to Bhutan. Maybe you'll find a clue inside? This torn paper you found could just be garbage, but I'll trust your instincts. You can piece it together in no time, I'm sure. I only hope it gets us closer to catching the killer.
Neither had required permits to fish. The cases have been...
I will get some clues first, so sit tight. Alright, I got myself 20 stars. I'll examine the torn paper right now.
Welcome back. We're getting our first look tonight at the damaged DMV at the Maui Mall. The roof of the office was
Just got the 9 in time.
causing severe flood damage.
The paper you pieced together has Lam Uyen's signature on it. You'll need your dusting kit to see what was written on it.
Lahaina DMV satellite offices will have extended hours. They'll be open Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. until 4:30 p.m. on Saturdays, and 8 in the morning until noon.
A new study supports improving regulation of pesticide use in the islands, measures the state legislature has repeatedly deferred. Now, partners at Civil
Festival manager.
The state and Kauai County Council, among the recommendations.
So what's written on Lam Uyen stationery? The note says Druk, Festival Manager, approved by Lam Uyen. Well, if the victim chose this Druk guy to lead the festival, he's bound to be somewhere around here. Maybe he knows more about Lam Uyen.
The Internal Revenue Service says there's $6 million in unclaimed federal income tax returns for Hawaii taxpayers from 2012.
About the victim? Ask about the victim.
Taxpayers did not file a federal tax
Druk,
return.
Lam Uyen placed you in charge of the Sitshu Festival. Is that correct?
Potential refunds are
Not in charge of the entire festival, but Lam Uyen came to feel that I should take a more senior role in the preparations.
no later than
The festival is 4 days of very specific dances, and I have been studying all the dances since I was a very small boy, so I agreed with this decision. Lam Uyen also knew that even when I'm in hiking boots on the edge of a cliff, I can outdance any other person in Bhutan. And he knew that I could handle my chang, which is more than you can say for some of the other dancers. Well, don't let those dancing feet wander too far off, Druk. We may need to ask you more questions.
See the version with the okina or glottal stop between the two eyes and others without. The state's Hawaii Board
Woven basket now.
is proposing a spell change to officially include the Hawaiian diacritical mark.
A dragon head pincushion. What was in the woven basket? This looks like some kind of pincushion. But you're right, those spots on the pincushion look like blood. Think you can get a sample?
Continue for a week or so before the board forwards the proposal to the state legislature. The board says they've been a part of hundreds of changes to place names across the state, and chances are good you'll likely see some of them right in your neighborhood.
A lot of our work actually deals with adding more compost to all of the geographic areas statewide. So yes, and there is a movement, and we need to persist with that movement.
We wondered if the spelling alteration would be welcome in August.
So Matthew, have you got a decent blood sample from the pincushion? Lars will want to have a look at this. Let's get it to him.
Just kind of, respect for where I'm from. I mean, I'm obviously not Native Hawaiian, but I am a local here.
UH Monroe senior Michael Bravo is from California and also supports the church.
12 hours.
Diego is Hawaii. I think it wasn't until I moved.
Alright, I'll see you guys for when this thing runs its course. Alright folks, we're back. Let's get the results of the blood from Lars. Hey there, Matthew. The blood you collected from the pincushion is definitely the victim's. Since you found the pincushion at the festival site, it's clear that the killer carried it away from the murder scene. And there's only one reason for anyone to wear a pincushion on their wrist: sewing. Wait, so you're telling us that the killer knows how to sew? It's pretty common in Bhutan. Both women and men are quite skillful at it. Well, knowing that the killer sews gets us that much closer to pinning them down for good. You know, Matthew, we still don't have much information about the victim. You're right, another sweep at the temple could help. Let's head back. Faded calendar. Ah, that's not a clue. That money on the floor is not a clue. Where the heck's the kettle? Oh, there we are. Not my best first score, but I try. Have you found anything that can tell us more about the victim? A smartphone? I guess it could be the victim's, but why would a monk have a smartphone? Think he can unlock it? And what's with this calendar? The victim is featured on it. Looks like there was some writing too. Ready to get dusting? I'm gonna get some stars first, so sit tight. Alright, I got myself up to 20 stars. I'll examine the smartphone right now. Ah, 78X. There we are. You did it again, Matthew. You got that phone unlocked in no time at all. Let's truck it over to Elliot and see if he can find anything interesting in it. "12 hours. Alright. Just before my 10 o'clock news tonight. Faded calendar now. A religious calendar. So that calendar belonged to Tashi, Matthew? Just a bunch of X's. That's not very helpful. Oh wait, you're right. At the very end of the month, the date is circled and there's a note. End of trial, meet with Uyen. So Tashi was undergoing some kind of trial and needed to meet with the victim once it was complete? Why didn't he say that before? Time for a little chat with Tashi. Yes, it is. About his plan to meet with the victim? So, Tashi, Ranger Matthew found a calendar indicating you were involved in some sort of trial? What kind of trial? A trial of hard labor to prove my love. You see, after Lam Wien took me in, I was so grateful I stayed to do the odd jobs of the monastery, even the sewing. One day I saw Deki. I fell in love with her. It is a tradition in Bhutan that a potential spouse proves his worthiness of his bride with 3 years hard labor. 3 years? That's intense. What hard labor did you do? Well, every morning I lace up my hiking boots and go chop wood in the forest. Then I tour the grounds, remove fire hazards, then shine the Buddhas. That sounds exhausting. But why did you need to meet with the victim? Well, Lam Wien was the only family Deki had. I had intended to ask him for her hand in marriage and give us his blessing. But now he's dead, and I won't ever have his blessing to marry Deki. Well, Tashi, you have our blessing to stick around the monastery. We may be back to question you again. I'll get the remaining stars, so for now, this is Matthew. See you then. Alright, folks, we're back. I'm going to speed up the smartphone. Well, Matthew, the phone that you brought me belonged to a tourist visiting the temple, but it showed a whole new side to one of the suspects. Let's just say that everyone's favorite guru is not exactly holier than thou. Take a look.
Depends on what he has to say. You know where he is?
Seen Ricky once since he got out. He hit me at the $50.
Dude, bro, Lam Wien, I love you, man. No, my friend, what you love is the Chang. I'm serious, man. You're like the grandfather I had. But like, he died, but now he's back, and he's you. Oh, little Om Padmasana, you still have so much to learn about everything. So Om Padmasana got rip-roaring drunk with the victim? And on Chang, no less. I can't believe it. Good point, Matthew. If this video got posted online, it could really damage the guru's reputation. We should rustle up Mr. Padmasana and have a chat with him about how he got drunk with the victim. Personally, I'm hoping we can bust Om Padmasana for a murder. About getting drunk with the victim. Hey there, Mr. Padmasana. How's your hangover? Ranger Matthew and I just saw a video of you drunk as a skunk with the victim. Oh, no. No! Please tell me that you didn't see that video online. Nope. But we did watch it on a tourist smartphone, and if they posted it or sent it to anyone before they lost their phone... Oh, man. I knew I shouldn't have trusted that old loony. He told me that stuff was a sacred beverage that would help me walk through walls. But I only ended up walking into walls. Thank goodness I was wearing my hiking boots or all my toes would be broken. I'm so embarrassed. A few of my followers saw me and now they're gone. They lost faith in me. If that video goes viral, I could lose thousands of followers, I mean. Well, Guru, losing followers will be the least of your worries if Ranger Matthew finds out you killed Lam Wien. Well, Matthew, I don't know what to say. Finding the person who chopped off Lam Wien's arm and left him to die is proving to be a tough task. So far, Om Padmasana seems to have the biggest motive and the most at stake. Getting drunk in front of his followers could end his little cult. As for Tashi, he seems to have looked up to the old monk, especially after he fell in love with the victim's daughter. Deki is causing mayhem at the festival site. Deki? The victim's adopted daughter? But she's so demure. Well, maybe she changes when she's had too much to drink. You better get over to the festival site and get her under control. We'll get to Chapter 3 next time. See y'all then. Alright folks, it is Matthew. We are back. Let's start Chapter 3 of Peace and Dead Quiet. Well, Matthew, I don't know what to say. Finding the person who chopped off Lam Wien's arm and left him to die is proving to be a tough task. Deki has gone wild at the festival site. Things are getting out of hand. Decky? You mean the victim's adopted daughter is acting out? She seemed so demure when we first met her. Well, maybe she changes when she's had too much to drink. We better get to the festival site and talk Decky down before she does something crazy. About her erratic behavior? I'm free! I'm free! Whoa, girl, you can barely stand up. Why don't you take some deep breaths? Deep breaths? Deep breaths? You sound like Lam Wen. I had enough of him, and I've had enough of you. I was always cooking and cleaning and other wifely duties. Wifely duties? That's a weird term for his adopted daughter to use. I shouldn't say anymore. Besides, I think I'm going to be sick. Tashi has always teased me for not being able to hold my Chang, as if he never gets drunk. Well, don't go too far with drowning your sorrows, Decky. We may need to ask you more questions. Decky's behavior is so extreme. When we first met her, she seemed so demure. Maybe there's more to her than we thought. I wonder if the change in Decky is just her way of rebelling, or if it's how she's coping with the grief. Regardless, Matthew, we need more clues and fast. And if we're going to find the killer, you're right. Let's take a closer look at the festival site.
Charlie was dealing.
Local PD searched his house. It was clean.
Well, he went to school in Osaki. Someone might recognize him. Look for trips to the city.
I don't see any charges in
Okay.
Well, there's all kinds of hotspots there. There's Kmart, JCPenney, and the Starlight Motel back in January. Maybe for an out-of-town guest. Never seen him.
I think I see a couple of clues already.
You stayed here January 3rd?
I still never seen him.
Do all your guests sign that book?
House policy.
Wooden box.
Charlie sign it? Katrina.
Torn silk.
This is Ricky Crimmins. Charlie Tyner chef with your wife at the store.
And oranges.
As soon as you got the chance, you made it. How'd you find out? Katrina rub your face in it? Comes upstate to visit you, winds up in your CEO's bed. Just the hell out of me. It's justified homicide. You tell that story, maybe you walk away. I wanted him to do treatment. Till I set the whole
Okay.
thing up. Every time I turn around,
just learning the ropes.
half-ass nonsense. Spent half last year in the hole. So where's your wife come in? I told her to use her female charms on. Then I pumped them out.
What are those torn pieces of silk? Well, I'm sure we'll have a better idea once you piece them together.
You threatened to play the show.
And that box you found has the name of the victim on it. Let's see what's inside. No way, Matthew. This box is holding the victim's nail clippings. If you want a sample of those, I'll be collecting them to you.
Why not the sofa?
Ricky told us about your scam on Charlie Tyner.
I'm gonna examine the wooden box right now.
It wasn't me. I was here. I got multiple witnesses.
You still committed extortion.
They were able to take care of that.
Somebody told me about Charlie.
I was still working then. Pointing Charlie up to me in the building, told me to find the music. Ricky told me where the seal was up there.
Got it.
That was easy.
So you and Ricky worked your magic, and now you're Charlie's.
You got a sample of the victim's nail clippings from the box? Why on earth did anyone keep their nail clippings? Maybe somebody thinks they're sacred or something. I don't know what you hope to get from them, but if you want to stick those fingernails under a microscope, that's all you. Gee, thanks, Carmen.
Charlie's talk screen was clean.
Gee, if they're working on another district, maybe I should ask them if they're interested in making a Hawaii district. Because that's my home state.
I can't get too worked up about Charlie. He's here in a few months.
there we are.
Take the exam.
Oh no. One more. There we are.
Last week, 3 of the girls...
Averly Worthington's fingernails? Wait a second. How did Averly Worthington's DNA get on our victim's disgusting fingernails? Well, she had been helping the victim with holistic medicine, you're right. We better talk to Miss Worthington right away.
Did you get the sample?
Her choice? The cup for 60-day solitary. She chose to hold.
About her services to the Guru.
Next to the date. One of the CEOs came by later. Signed for Elsa's file.
So, Miss Worthington, how exactly did your DNA get mixed in with the nail clippings of Lam Nguyen? I can totes explain. I was applying the turmeric paste for his arthritis and that nasty lech grabbed me. He grabbed you? That's pretty wild behavior for a monk. I know, right? He grabbed so hard that he scratched my skin. He even ripped the tunic I was wearing. The whole thing was really freaky, and it made me question my path in holistic medicine, but at least the incident brought me closer to the Guru. When I told the Guru what happened, he was so shocked that he offered to mend my tunic for me. But I couldn't let him do such menial work. I sewed it back together myself. And we know that you do anything to get in the Guru's good books. Here's hoping that didn't include murder. Oh, it's looking pretty good for Om Padmasana. But let's see what the torn silk has to give us.
I'll talk to the ADA and prosecutor, see who our dope friends are in town. Maybe one of them is Tiger's connection. Alice Simonelli. Yeah, it was a 95 indictment. More than 1,000. Got it. Simonelli was driving some guy to a drug deal. The cops took the car, found the stash.
Excuse me.
Little overnight. And you sent her upstate?
So you piece together those silk scraps? It looks like some kind of quilt. But wait, did somebody scribble all over the silk? Doesn't that scribble face kind of look like the victim? You're right. I bet DuPont will know what this fabric is, and if it's normal that somebody doodled all over it.
And about a year ago she got into a fight, stabbed an inmate.
I'll get the remaining stars. 9 hours? I'll see you for that when I get the remaining stars. And when this thing runs its course, I'll get the results tomorrow. See you then. Alright folks, we're back. Let's get the results of the silk figure. Well, to see this beautiful silk applique defaced is absolutely heartbreaking for this cultural expert, je vous le dis. This applique was to be part of the thong drel that is shown every year at the Tsechu Festival. A thong drel? What on earth is that? It's a religious image. In Bhutan, it depicts Padmasambhava, the Buddhist sage who founded the Tiger's Nest Monastery. Boy, I needed a few seconds to pronounce that. Padmasambhava. So I'm guessing that doodling on it made it to look like the victim is not part of the tradition. Bien sûr que non, absolutely not. To deface this thong drill is a heinous act. The question is, who did it? Good point, Matthew. Druk was in a management position overseeing the festival. Maybe he'll know about this. Let's go talk to him. About the drawing of the victim. So, Druk, Ranger Matthew was wondering if you knew anything about this defaced part of the thong drill we found. I do. I didn't mention the defacement before because I didn't want to dishonor Lam Nguyen, but he did it. He knew that I'd have to tear that silk off and start the sewing all over again on the thong drill. Why would Lam Nguyen want to sabotage the festival? Lam Nguyen wasn't mad exactly, but he was highly unorthodox. He said that scribbling his face on Padmasambhava was a lesson in non-attachment. He put me in charge of the festival and then put obstacles in my path at every turn, but I realize now that he wanted to teach me humility. And did you learn the lesson, Druk, or did you lose your cool? At least we know where to find you if we have any more questions. Seems like the victim may not have been the holy man we thought he was. After all, he did trick the guru into drinking alcohol. On top of that, he assaulted Averly. And his relationship with his adopted daughter, Deki, seems to have been less fatherly than we thought. There is so much more to this than meets the eye, Matthew. We need more clues to zero in on the killer. Let's go back to the crime scene. Locked chest. Whetstone. Tambourine Buddha head. Good. Good for me. Six. That's cool. That chest you found is locked? Why would anyone leave a locked chest in the middle of a mountain path? Think you can unlock it? And is that a whetstone? Those are usually for sharpening knives, but this one is round, so what is it for? I'll check my phone. Looks like this type of whetstone is better suited for axes. The killer must have used it to sharpen the murder weapon. You're right, there's a bluish powder on this whetstone. This could be key evidence. We'll need a sample of it, and fast. RAK A78. Just missed the 9, but that's alright. There it is. Matthew, the axe you found in that chest has to be the murder weapon. Look at the blood. There's yellow paste on it too. That paste can help us catch the killer. Lars will know what it is. Let's go. $15. Whetstone. Let's find out what that blue paste is. Perfect. You got a sample of the blue powder from the killer's whetstone. Let's rush it to Lars. And that's also 9 hours. I'll look at my cards first. And I'm going to get the remaining stars here. So for now, this is Matthew. See you then. Alright folks, we're back. I'm going to speed up the axe first. My lovely wife compared the chop marks on the victim to axe blade. It's a 100% match. Great job finding the murder weapon, Matthew. And I know what you're thinking. What's better than finding the murder weapon, right? What could be better than not getting on my last nerve, Lars? Well, Matthew also brought in more evidence. The yellow paste on the axe handle was a mixture of turmeric, sandalwood, and rosewater. This combination of plants is used to treat scars in Ayurvedic medicine. So the killer is treating a scar, huh? Well, maybe that scar will make them look tough enough for prison, right, Matthew?
It's your job to protect the world. It's your responsibility to solve the world's greatest challenges. This is why we search for the best and brightest.
It's been a great day for me so far. The only trouble is my guy Chadri crashed out of the Toronto Supercross. But my local college basketball team, both the men and the women, won the Big West tournament. Matthew, you're right on time. Knock knock. Lars, seriously, how could a knock knock joke help? Okay, fine. Who the freaking frack is there? Turquoise. Spare me. Turquoise who? Turquoise is the prettiest color. It's scientifically proven. Get it? Scientific? Scientific? Anyway, the powder Matthew collected from the whetstone came from the semi-precious stone turquoise. For the powder's distribution, I'd venture that the killer was wearing this whetstone and scratched a turquoise object on it. Probably a large bead. So the killer was a turquoise bead. We're getting closer to wrapping up this case, Matthew. Matthew, we have all the evidence we need to arrest Lam Nguyen's killer. Let's end this. I'm already working on a case to do in elite mode for Pacific Bay. It's not the guru. It's Tashi. Tashi, Ranger Matthews arresting you for the murder of Lam Nguyen. What? I will never do my biggest benefactor any harm. The hiking boots you wear say otherwise, Tashi. Haven't you noticed I live on the edge of a cliff? What other shoes could I possibly wear up there? Well, you don't have to wear a turquoise bead around your neck to live up here. Turquoise bead? Haven't you seen the bead on the guru guy? He wears one too. Ah, but Om Padmasana never left Ayurvedic scar treatment all over the handle of the murder weapon. I don't get it, Tashi. You were almost done with your 3-year trial. Why kill Lam Nguyen right before you could marry Deki? Because he would never let me marry Deki. He had taken her as his own wife. Whoa! Lam Nguyen turned his adopted daughter into his wife? So that's what Deki meant by wifely duties. Once I overheard him talking to Deki not like a father but like a dirty old man. Not like a father but like a dirty old man. But I could hear in her voice that she didn't like his words. When I heard the way he talked to her, I knew I had to save her from him by any means necessary. I understand how shocking that discovery must have been, but chopping him up was not the best way to deal with it. You're under arrest. Mr. Tashi, you're charged with the murder of Lam Nguyen, whose arm you chopped off with an axe. I had to save Deki from him so we could get married. You had to save a woman from him? Aren't monks celibate? He was not a normal monk. He used people. He hurt people. I understand that your intention was to help this woman, but murder is never the answer. Tashi, this court sentences you to 10 years in prison. Even if Deki doesn't wait for me to get out of prison, it was worth it to know that she's free. I am glad that we solved this murder, Matthew, but I have to wonder how the victim changed from a holy man to someone who would assault young women and marry his own daughter. Still, Tashi shouldn't have resorted to murder, even if it was to save Deki. Hey Matthew, a red flag has popped up on one of the guru's accounts. He's been transferring large sums of money, enough to be highly suspicious. I knew he couldn't be here just for his personal development. He's shady. Time to get back on that so-called guru's case.
What are you doing? Watching the cheese balls. You're supposed to be watching Dorothy. I was watching Dorothy. But every time I watch
Averly Worthington, cleared from the start. Drook, no turquoise bead. Deki, cleared over no hiking boots and such. Om Padmasana almost made the cut. I hope we bust him in the next case. But let's get to the additional investigation next time. Okay, we're back for the additional investigation of Peace and Dead Quiet, A New Light, 5/6. Remember how the chief told me to put Sombra on hold so we could focus on Om Padmasana? Well, guess what? A red flag has popped up on one of the Guru's accounts. He's been transferring large sums of money, enough to be highly suspicious. I knew he couldn't be in Bhutan just for his personal development. Yes, the money's been going to an entity called One Mother Milk. I'm not really sure if it's a shell company or an NGO or what. Ranger Matthew, trek up to the temple and ask Om Padmasana about this post-haste. We'll finally be able to prove that this Padmasana chap is just another swindler. I'll come with you, Matthew. My psychoanalysis skills could come in handy when you interrogate him. Sorry to interrupt, Matthew, but when you have a moment, could you come with me to the lab? I have a favor to ask you.
What are you doing?
I want to be by myself for a moment.
It's time to throw rice at the kids.
I don't think I can go back there.
You're acting like a jerk.
Thanks, Mom.
Let's interrogate Om Padmasana first.
Don't get small with your mouth.
Om Padmasana, stop hiding. We need to speak with you.
But you're not the first woman to be dumped by her husband.
The Guru is currently unavailable, Ranger Matthew. Besides, he's been proven innocent, so why would you need to speak with him? You can speak with me instead. Not a bad notion, Ms. Worthington. We learned in Bangalore how much of the Guru's income you provide, so maybe you can tell us more about his finances? What would I know? I don't question his decisions about where the money I give him should go. I'm sure that the Guru isn't doing anything wrong with the money. He has changed so many people's lives for the better. Well, if that's true, then you won't mind Ranger Matthew taking a look around the temple? I don't know. I mean, I don't want to lose the Guru's trust. Ms. Worthington, think of how much of the Guru's trust you stand to gain by exonerating him once and for all. Yeah, you're right. I just know that you won't find anything bad around the temple. The Guru can do no wrong. To prove it, I'll make a generous donation to you in his name. Oh, thank you very much. 20,000 coins.
Bloopers, and interviews with the cast. New episode Sunday nights at 9 on Hallmark Channel.
And at Progressive, we let you compare Progressive direct rates.
Great deals for real.
And our competitors' rates side by side, so you know you're getting a great deal. As you can see, sometimes Progressive isn't the lowest.
Not always the lowest. I'm being your hype man.
Change into the Dalmatian this time.
We're talking about savings.
I liked his way.
Savings worth the hype. Now that's Progressive.
Okay. Nunchuck.
Life's shared meal. A kitchen with room.
Birdcage. Pinwheel.
Or solid white albacore. All tuna is created equal. So choose quality albacore. Responsibly cooked.
Painted box.
Growing protein and tastes delicious. It's simple.
All sorts of shapes and sizes.
Ooh. A ride in OJ. Sweet.
With 8 times more fragrance control, the new Air Wick scented oil warmer lets you dial up or down to fill massive minimalist rooms.
You found a box of prayer flags? I'll trust your judgment, Matthew. If there's something to be dug up in that box about the Guru, you'll find it.
No matter the size of the room, Air Wick, home is in the air.
When I lay in my Tempur-Pedic contour, the next thing I know...
Painted box.
You've got the spring and bounce of a traditional mattress, and also just...
It's like somebody's hugging you. How can a bed do that? There's a Tempur-Pedic.
Saves a brochure. Ha! You found a flyer among those prayer flags, and it's for the charity Elliot mentioned, One Mother Milk. Looks like this charity supplies infant formula to needy families throughout Asia. You've got to be kidding me, Matthew. The logo for OM Medilab is on the charity flyer? If they're involved, that can't be good. So the Guru's giving huge donations to a charity owned by OM Medilab? Even more proof that he's shady. You're right. We better get this flyer to Elliot. He'll figure it all out.
What and how to get the perfect wash. Every day, care.
9 hours. I'll get the results in the morning. So let's ask Lars. I know this might seem odd, Matthew, but I have a favor to ask of you, and I need to keep it a secret, especially from Angela. I've been thinking a lot about why I wanted to follow the guru. I realized that I was running away from my problems. I thought the only way I could enjoy my family more was by dropping everything. I can't blame Angela for being angry with me about that. But now I know that I can work for the Bureau and still get to enjoy my family. I want to prove it to Angela by renewing our vows at the monastery. I've heard that in Bhutan, an astrologer officiates weddings. Will you come with me to the festival site to find one? Great. Thanks so much for indulging me. I'll meet you at the festival site. Okay. Faded book. There we are. Another OJ, sweet.
Have a seat. What can I do for you? The first thing you can do is get...
Hey Matthew, that book you found looks like it could be interesting. Can't make out what the subject is, but the images seem pretty mystical. If we can't find an astrologer, maybe this book could help us. Book title. I can't read the title of that book either. I don't even know what language it's in. Do you think DuPont would know, Matthew? Let's get this book to him.
School plays and Little League and worrying if you'd get through your gallbladder.
6 hours. Alright. I'll see you guys when these two run their courses. Alright folks, we're back. Let's get the results of the brochure. Matthew, you're not going to believe what I found out about that charity One Mother Milk. As you know, they provide infant formula for needy families in Asia. And they are directly related to that giant pharmaceutical company, OM Medilab. We got as much from the brochure, Elliot. Tell us something we don't know. Remember how I said I couldn't access any of OM Medilab's data, Matthew? Well, because One Mother Milk is a charity. It is subject to different financial transparency laws than, say, a pharmaceutical giant. Through the charity, I was able to follow the OM Medilab financial trail right back to Sombra. Are you kidding me? OM Medilab is a Sombra front? That explains the company's questionable ethics. This confirms our suspicions that enlightenment is not Om Padmasana's main concern. He's been sending money to Sombra through the One Mother Milk charity. Did I hear you say Om Padmasana has been giving money to Sombra? Let me come with you, Matthew. Averly Worthington is going to tell us where that guru is. If we find him, we'll be back on Sombra's trail. Let's hope so. That bitch needs to see some light of her own. Persuade her. Give information. Miss Worthington, we must speak to Om Padmasana immediately. He's not here, I told you. Stop harassing him. He's innocent. He was the first to see the flashing light that cleanses all things. Well, the flashing light won't cleanse your guru of sending money to a criminal organization. Now where is he? I'm afraid the guru has left the temple, Ranger Matthew. He hasn't said a word to his followers about where he's going. Uh-huh, sure. You better tell us everything you know about his itinerary right this minute. Chill out, okay? Even if I knew, I wouldn't tell you. It is part of my duty as a follower to protect the guru no matter what. Well, if you're not careful, you're going to protect your way into a jail cell. As if. Now, if you'll excuse me, I need to meditate on the flashing light to clear all this negative energy out of my system. Negative energy? Please. Well, I admit my blood sugar is getting low, Matthew. I need to eat something or I'll release some serious negative energy. Maybe we should let Carmen do that. Well, Averly Worthington wasn't helpful at all. Big surprise. But we still need to find the guru and ask him about his links to Sombra. But you're right, Matthew. Averly Worthington will follow the guru to the ends of the earth. If we follow her, she'll lead us to the guru. I'll tell Elliot to keep tabs on her and follow her movements so we can find Om Padmasana. Book title now? Ah, Kel Tresor, what a treasure you brought to me when you sent this book to be analyzed. Mezamin, this is an ancient book about Tibetan astrology. A book on astrology? That could be exactly what I need. Indeed, even if it's in Tibetan, Bhutan and Tibet share certain cultural aspects. That said, in Bhutan, the traditional marriage ceremony lasts 4 days. Dude, I don't have that kind of time. Never fear, Lars. Extrapolating the calculations in this ancient book, I was able to determine that today is the perfect day for you and Angela to renew your vows. But you must hurry to the monastery and renew them before sundown, and you'll need a Bhutanese astrologer to officiate. Look for a monk with a kata or sacred shawl. They'll know Tibetan astrology. Thanks, man. Matthew, we'd better get going. It's a long, hard climb up the cliff to that monastery. White shawl. Personally, I am really hoping that we get to bust Om Padmasana. If not for murder, then for something else. His actions are too big to be ignored. Well, you didn't find a monk wearing a kata, but this shawl could be the one DuPont was talking about. But how do we find the astrologer this shawl belongs to? Huh, yeah, of course, Matthew. DNA should do the trick. Maybe you can collect some skin cells from the shawl. And that's what I'll do. Just got the 9 in time. Good going, Matthew. You got a sample of skin cells from the shawl. I'm too nervous to analyze much of anything at the moment. I have to figure out how to get Angela up here without ruining the surprise. If you can check the skin cell sample out with a microscope, that would be really helpful. Thanks, Matthew. I can see the reasoning there. Skin cells. So the shawl belongs to that festival dancer Druk? You mean he's a dancer and an astrologer? Well, let's track Druk down. If this shawl was at the monastery, then he must be around here. Maybe he'll be willing to officiate. Hello, Druk. I'm Lars. I work with Ranger Matthew and I want to renew my marriage vows with my wife, Angela. You're an astrologer, and today before sundown would be the most auspicious time for you to officiate such a ceremony. Can you help me? Well, it's awfully short notice, but since you're not Bhutanese, I can probably come up with something that lasts a few hours instead of 4 days. I accept the challenge. We'll need a special wooden cup for the ceremonial beverage. First I'll drink from the cup, and then you two can say your vows. Then you drink from this same cup. That's it? Drink from a cup and say how much I love my wife? I can do that. But first you must get into proper attire. One cannot have a ceremony without the required costuming. You can go change while I'm preparing everything. Okay, let's see how this will work. I sure hope that Angela will be happy with this surprise, Matthew. What's going on? Why did you want me to wear these clothes and bring the triplets up here? Angela, honey, I know things have been rocky lately, and that I am to blame for trying to force our family to follow the Guru. I was a fool. But I have learned that we do important work for the Bureau, and that you and the triplets are all I need to get by. So if you still have me, I would like to renew our marriage vows. This is all so unexpected. Yes, Lars, I will. The sun will set soon. You must say your vows. I'm tongue-tied, Lars. Why don't you start? Angela, I promise to try to make you laugh every day. I promise to include you in all decisions regarding our family. I promise to stay by your side. Lars, I promise to laugh at your corny jokes. I promise to save your life as many times as I possibly can. I can promise that I will never let you down. Now you must both drink from the cup. I love you, Mr. Boo. I love you too, Mrs. Boo. My love for you is like the strong nuclear force. Our bond will always be covalent. Oh no, that's nice. Mommy, can we have some of that drink too? No, sweeties, this beverage is fermented. You know what that means, right? Yes, Mommy, there's ethanol in it and it could make us very sick. Exactly, and I have my hands full enough with your father. There we go. Matthew, I am so happy that Angela and Lars have made it through all these hard times. Me too, they are really inspiring. Marriage is hard work. It takes guts to forgive. Speaking of forgiveness, Jonah, I've had time to think about how you disobeyed your orders to kill me. Maybe I should get a better understanding of your side of the story. Over some tea? Tea? With me? You want to get? Yeah, sure. Just say when. When? Good news, everybody. Averly Worthington's on the move. She just bought a ticket to fly to Tibet. She probably got the call to follow the Guru to Tibet. And considering Padmasana's possible connections to Sombra through One Mother Milk, we can't just watch from a safe distance. Ranger Matthew, gather your gear and get ready for a higher altitude. You're going to Tibet. I bet you guys are probably wondering, do I plan to do a case in Elite Mode and World Edition? The answer is yes, I plan to. But which one I will do, I have not decided yet. Case 24 isn't open yet, so we'll see if we can track down Om Padmasana in Case 24. So for now, this is Matthew. See you then, and I will see you guys for another case in Elite Mode in Pacific Bay.